Today, we're undertaking quite a strategic operation ourselves. We're examining a text that's, 2,500 years old, Sun Tzu's The Art of War, and we're looking at how startlingly relevant it is to the really sophisticated world of modern private intelligence. Think boardroom conflicts, counter-espionage, complex corporate security, especially in places like South Africa.
Yeah, it's not a stretch at all. It feels foundational. The core argument you find in our sources is that this, 5th century BC military manual, it isn't just history. It really acts as a kind of dynamic blueprint for navigating what people now call silent wars.
Silent wars?
Exactly. The whole battlefield has shifted. It used to be about territory, right? Grabbing land. Now, information, narrative control. That's where you win or lose.
Okay, so our mission today. Let's unpack 6 core strategic imperatives from Sun Tzu and really translate them into concrete, actionable strategies for the professionals out there using, cutting-edge tools, AI analytics, cyber defense, social media influencing the works.
Right. And before we jump in, we really need to tackle this paradox of timelessness. It's kind of puzzling. How can advice written when soldiers were, wearing bronze armor still apply when we're dealing with machine learning?
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it?
It is. And the answer seems to be that while the tools, the cyber stuff, the AI, the algorithms, they've changed incredibly radically, the fundamental human elements haven't. Conflict, competition, foresight, decision-making. That stuff is basically unchanged. Sun Tzu just captured these universal strategic truths, and it's that enduring human insight that, it makes his work vital reading for anyone looking for a strategic edge today.
Okay, I'm sold. Let's unpack this blueprint. Where do we start? Sun Tzu insists strategic thinking begins with
meticulous calculation and laying plans. That's the absolute starting point. He says success needs meticulous preparation and really understanding both sides' circumstances.
Right, meticulous preparation.
And it's deeper than just standard business planning, Sun Tzu famously said, many calculations lead to victory, while few calculations lead to defeat. Think about it. An MBA student calculates risk, sure, but often just looks at the balance sheets. A private intelligence firm, using this principle, they're calculating the intangibles.
Tangibles.
Like the adversary's internal morale, maybe the stability of their leadership, hidden political vulnerabilities, things you don't see on paper. Victory is really determined by the quality, the depth of your forethought.
Okay, but hang on. Isn't that just, very thorough, maybe very expensive due diligence? Where does the ancient wisdom add something truly unique?
The value add is in the scope and the mindset. Take due diligence assessments in South Africa. An investment firm isn't just hiring accountants for a big acquisition. No. They bring in a private intelligence agency to assess things that won't be in the quarterly report. Things like the executive team's real backgrounds, hidden legal liabilities, maybe undocumented market risks. This really rigorous approach ensuring many calculations lead to victory, that's exactly what stops a deal from falling apart after you've signed.
That makes sense. It's mapping the whole terrain, not just the financial figures. And I suppose we see this in the legal arena, too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about litigation support strategy. A high-stakes commercial case, maybe in Johannesburg. The legal team isn't just looking for, the smoking gun evidence. They hire intelligence firms to execute that laying plans idea. They map the opposing counsel's usual courtroom tactics. They assess the other side's genuine financial weak spots, identify hidden assets for, say, judgment enforcement, all before the trial really gets going. They're basically creating the strategic environment they need to win.
So meticulous calculation is step one. But that foundation, it's kind of useless without the second piece, right? Which is
knowing yourself and the enemy. Absolutely crucial. You need a completely realistic view of your abilities, and you need a thorough preparation on the adversary's strengths and weaknesses. It's how you avoid major losses.
It sounds like the ultimate competitive self-awareness.
It really is. If you just charge into a market battle without thorough knowledge and preparation, you're basically operating on hope. And Sun Tzu is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Hope is not a strategy. Not a good one, anyway.
So how does this translate for, say, a tech firm? How does that tactical knowledge become competitive intelligence?
Good question. Look at competitive market entry. Imagine a new tech startup in Cape Town. They'd use a private intelligence firm, not just for a standard market study. They'd want a deep dive, analyzing key competitors' product, roadmaps, their pricing psychology, maybe customer retention strategies. But here's the critical bit. They pair that intel with a brutally honest, maybe external, assessment of their own tech capabilities, their own potential weak spots. It's that dual perspective. That's how you know the enemy and know itself.
And presumably, when you're on the defensive, this principle is just as critical for your internal security.
Exactly right. Take counter-espionage defense, a major mining corporation, maybe near Rustenburg. Given the context there, unions, high-value assets, real vulnerability to industrial espionage, they can't just rely on better locks, right? They need an internal vulnerability assessment, yes, but also simultaneous intelligence gathering on known espionage tactics used in their sector globally. By knowing themselves, their weaknesses, and the enemy's likely methods, they can actually strengthen their defenses before an attack happens, preemptively.
Okay, so we've established the planning, the knowing, but the modern environment, it's just incredibly dynamic, which brings us nicely to the third principle, adaptability and flexibility. In a world driven by, algorithmic trading, instant news, plans can't be static. They have to be living documents. You've got to stay flexible and open-minded, constantly upgrade plans based on what's happening.
The speed of information flow is the real killer here. It's relentless. If you hesitate, even for minutes, sometimes you can lose the narrative, lose momentum. And this is where modern tools really help fulfill Sun-Tzu's ancient demand for agility.
Can you give us a practical example? How does technology actually enable this rapid adaptation?
Sure. Think about crisis management and reputational protection. Let's say a PI firm is managing a client's public image. Suddenly, new disinformation pops up online. It spreads fast. AI modeling doesn't just crunch the data. It allows for almost instant scenario mapping. What if we do this? What if they do that? This dramatically cuts down the time needed to upgrade plans. The firm can make quick calls on counter-messaging, launch new narratives almost immediately, not days later after human analysts have waded through everything.
So the tech, the AI, is providing the sheer speed you need to cope with that volatility.
Precisely. Or consider dynamic threat response in finance. An intelligence firm spots a zero-day exploit or maybe a sophisticated new phishing scam targeting their clients' customers. They can leverage automated systems to rapidly adapt cybersecurity rules, push out instant awareness campaigns to users. They are literally upgrading their plans based on what's happening in real time, mitigating the threat immediately.
That dynamic ability leads us to the principle that really defines the whole modern intelligence sector, doesn't it? The fourth imperative, the importance of intelligence. Sun Tzu's message was crystal clear. Intelligence trumps brute force every time.
That single phrase, that's basically the entire business model for private intelligence today. Competitive intelligence gives you that crucial foreknowledge. And that knowledge lets clients understand rivals, see shifts coming, build strategies to outmaneuver them, often avoiding the sheer cost and mess of direct conflict.
Can you give us a really high-stakes example where that foreknowledge is literally the difference between success and, disaster?
Yeah.
Okay, look at strategic investment due diligence.
Yeah.
Huge decisions. Before a company commits, say, hundreds of millions to a cross-border investment, maybe in a region that looks a bit unstable, a PIA provides critical, nuanced foreknowledge. Things like hidden geopolitical risks, maybe local corruption levels you won't find in reports, the true interests of key local players. Investing just based on the financial reports, that's kind of brute force. Investing with that deep intelligence layer, that's strategy. The information itself is the shield against loss.
And operationally, day-to-day, protecting physical things like supply chains, it must rely entirely on knowing what threats are developing before they hit.
Which leads perfectly into supply chain security. Imagine a manufacturing company constantly disrupted by organized crime or maybe illicit trade networks. They don't just hire more security guards, that's reactive. Instead, they use intelligence to actually map out the criminal networks, understand their structure, identify the choke points, learn their logistics. By getting that level of foreknowledge, they can secure their supply chain proactively instead of just reacting to losses all the time.
Right, this is where the conversation moves into some really complex, maybe ethically gray areas. The fifth principle, deception and surprise. This is that famous line, isn't it? All warfare is based on deception. It involves hiding your true plans, sometimes pretending to be weak when you're strong, all to get a tactical edge.
Exactly. The aim here is tactical superiority. It's often about a short-term, unexpected move. It's about manipulating the adversary's immediate perception of what you're capable of or what you're about to do.
How does that play out in something really sensitive, like, say, a counter-extortion case?
Okay. In counter-extortion operations, this gets very real. The PI firm might advise the client to use active deception. They might say, look, pretend to be weak, appear hesitant about the demands, maybe difficult to contact. Why? To buy critical time. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, intelligence is being gathered frantically to launch a surprise attack, maybe pinpointing the perpetrator's location or prepping a coordinated legal strike. You're masking your true intent to gain that immediate tactical advantage.
So deception here is really about tactical masking, hiding the immediate move.
That's a good way to put it, tactical masking, and we see it in market manipulation countermeasures too. Say a company gets hit by strategic disinformation. Someone's trying to trash their stock price fast. The firm needs tactical counters. They might use subtle online perception management. Not necessarily to immediately expose the attacker, that might be the goal later, but initially just to quietly, gradually restore market confidence. They're hiding their true plans, the full recovery strategy to stabilize the stock without causing the big public fight the attacker might actually want.
Okay, that tactical application, deception. It leads us logically to what Sun Tzu called the pinnacle, the highest form of success, the sixth principle, achieving victory without confrontation. His term was supreme excellence, subduing the enemy without fighting, using things like psychological warfare, diplomacy, and subversion.
This is where the modern PI agency and the ancient text really converge powerfully. If deception, as we just discussed, is tactical masking, then supreme excellence is strategic environment shaping. Think about agencies involved in online perception management, social media influencing, sometimes manipulation campaigns, sophisticated opposition research. What are they fundamentally trying to do? They're trying to manipulate narratives and behaviors so effectively that direct confrontation becomes pointless, unnecessary.
So you're influencing the political outcome or the corporate outcome before battle lines are even drawn.
Exactly that. Take shareholder activism management. A listed company facing an aggressive proxy fight. Supreme excellence isn't just winning the vote on the day. No, it's using opposition research, targeted social media influencing, to proactively shape positive perceptions among key shareholders beforehand. Institutional, retail, whoever matters. They aim to win the proxy fight without firing a shot because the activist's case just loses steam before the meeting even happens. The environment was shaped against it.
That definitely feels like it goes beyond simple deception into really proactive narrative control.
It does. And the same logic applies to preemptive brand protection. Instead of waiting for some damaging smear campaign to land and then fighting back, which is costly and messy, a luxury brand might use proactive positive narrative shaping, often using subtle influencers, strategic messaging. Essentially, they try to neutralize the potential negative story before it gets any traction. That is the ideal of supreme excellence in this context. You avoid the full-blown expensive crisis entirely by controlling the information space first.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. After this deep dive into Sun Tzu's incredible longevity, what's the main takeaway?
I think the primary finding really is that intelligence isn't just a support function anymore. Not at all. It has completely transcended that. It's now a primary strategic weapon, and it operates increasingly in the informational psychological space. So the highest form of strategic success today, it isn't just gathering data. It's the sophisticated, often very subtle application of that data to proactively influence the environment and shape outcomes.
So for you listening to this, the challenge Sun Tzu lays down for modern professionals. It isn't about blindly applying 2,500-year-old tactics. It's about translating those truly timeless principles. Know your terrain, know yourself, know your enemy, value actionable intelligence above everything else. Translating those into strategies that effectively use the powerful tools we have now: AI, cyber tech, social influence networks.
Exactly. And this convergence, this blending of ancient strategy and modern tech, it leads us to, well, a final provocative thought. If supreme excellence really is achieving victory without direct conflict, by subtly shaping narratives and perceptions, how far can these modern tools, strategic disinformation, social media influencing, actually push the boundaries of corporate or even political conflict? Before that silent war starts to permanently warp the legal and ethical frameworks that were designed, perhaps naively, to contain it, that very fine line, that's the true modern battlefield, isn't it?